Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here. Happy New Year, Abe. Thank you for joining me. And here we are again in the Real Geeks, Mastermind Facebook page, just sharing some information with you. Abe, again, as I said, Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year, Greg. Glad to be back.
I am glad to be back too. As I mentioned on a previous recording, I'm actually having a challenge kind of getting back into routine. Not that I'm lacking motivation. It's just I've kind of like, it's almost, I've lost my balance and I got to get back in the game. So I'm excited to be back though, no doubt.
It's amazing how quickly we can fall off track, huh?
Man,
No
it's
matter how many
amazing.
times you've done it. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Well, hey, I know we want to talk about generating leads in the next 72 hours. And, it's sometimes these topics that we have with you all on Real Geeks have a lot to do with where our minds are and what we're doing in our own businesses. And, Abe and I are very adamant right now at starting the year strong. And one of the things that helps us start the year strong is building momentum, and we build momentum by making sure that we have enough leads. And what we've learned over the years, and believe me, we've probably learned this at a heavy cost, and that is, we've learned how much business we've lost over the years by making assumptions about our databases, our CRMs, or the leads that we have in our possessions. And so I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that and what you can do, like tactically, what you could be doing to generate more leads immediately, and with the goal of generating momentum for your business and momentum quickly. So let's just jump into that, Abe.
Yeah. So I mean, this is always a good time of year. Beginning of the year is when a lot of people really start to ponder what they want their real estate investments to look like. Whether they're going to be moving, whether they're going to be selling
Yes.
investment properties, things like that. This is always beginning of a new year. People think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no better time to actually reach out to your entire database. Like your goal should be in the month of January to make sure you connect with every single person in your database. And I would start off by kicking off a workflow,
Mm-hmm.
Greg. Like you should have a heading into spring or a happy new year or whatever you want to call it workflow right now that reaches out to people, both buyers and sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about what typically happens this time of year. And we all know in just about every single market, typically inventory will begin to grow. As we get closer into the spring, inventory should start to go up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And be able to explain that. So if it's a seller, explain that to them and let them know, look, if you're looking to sell, the best time is to be out there with less inventory, less competition.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a buyer, then be ready. Get your ducks in a row and know that there's going to be homes or condos hitting the market soon that you're going to be interested in.
Yeah.
And no better way to do that than utilize the technology, use a workflow, and kick that off to your database, like starting immediately.
Yeah, and I think I'll even kind of go back a little bit
Mhm.
further to what I said, in the beginning of the call, and that is, we lose a lot of money making bad assumptions about what's going on. And like an example of a bad assumption would be, you've got a database, and they haven't, like, people in your database haven't even logged in. They haven't looked at any properties. They haven't logged in. They're showing signs of zero activity in your CRM. So we can, and I've been guilty of this. I'll make an assumption. Well, they don't want to do anything. Well, how do I know that? How do I know that somebody who's inactive in my Real Geek CRM, just because they're inactive, how do I know it's because they don't want to do anything? How do I know that's a dead lead? Because how do I not know, or why aren't we making the assumption is that lead must be alive, they're just alive on somebody else's website?
Mhm.
And that's what's critical. Like, let's not make the assumption that because they're not active in our CRM, that they're a bad lead, a dead lead. Let's make the assumption that if they're not active in my CRM, then somebody else must have their attention. Maybe they're on Zillow. Maybe they're on an agent across across your town. Maybe they're on one of their websites. And then what we do is then we go and say, okay, well, Abe, let's take your idea of that workflow, kick off a workflow that, and we know this, and there's other people I've seen, Al Lewis, post on this, I can't remember his exact numbers, so I won't quote those, but I've heard him post on this subject. And that is, we can kick off a workflow that would just include one email and maybe two texts and get 50 to 60% of everybody to respond. So what's amazing is you get all these people to respond, and then in those responses, we'll see that a lot of people already purchased. So the fact, I know it's discouraging to send off a workflow and then get notification that somebody's already purchased. I actually think it should be the opposite. That should be encouraging. Because if you go and hit everybody in your database right now, and you find out that, wow, this out of this dead leads, actually 5 people bought, 6, 10 people already bought, then you've proved me right. You've proved this conversation is correct. You've proved that dead leads are not dead. And I know that's what you'll find out. So some of us need to go through this process so we can understand that there is no such thing as a dead lead or a bad lead. They might have a time frame that's not favorable for what our goals are, but it has nothing to do with whether or not they're going to do something in the future or not, or a high percentage of them are.
Yeah, that's a good point, Greg. And I really would encourage everybody to kind of shift their mindset about what the purpose of a workflow is. Right? If your sole objective to kick off a workflow is to just get yeses, then you're going to be discouraged, right? There's not going to be a whole lot of yeses. There's going to be, it's just a numbers game. There's going to be a certain number of people that say yes. But another benefit of the workflow is the ability to, number one, connect with your leads more often. Number two, it helps you segment your database a little bit better. You want to know if that person did just purchase, then that's great. So now you move it from a buyer to a seller. You put them on a safe market report, right? The whole purpose of using these workflows is to get leads, but then also it's a good way to clean up your database, resegment it, which is something you should be doing once a quarter anyway. Yeah. So get away from the mentality that, oh, they all said no or they all bought, that's a bad thing. It's not. It's helping you clean up your database, resegment it, and get it in a better position to produce in the future.
Yeah. It's one of those things that the longer we procrastinate, the more we procrastinate and not do these things, then the harder it is to ever have the energy or even the desire to ever do it. So the longer it takes and the more, the bigger your database gets without you doing these things, the more unlikely you're going to ever do it, because it's almost like the frustration compounds and then we just throw up our hands and just give up. We shouldn't do that. And, I'm making something up right now, but, an example of a text that you could send is, hey, Happy New Year. I just wanted to check in now that it's January, to see what your new time frame may be for purchasing property in Myrtle Beach is. Something like that. Yeah, I'm sure you could make it better, but it's just a simple text like that. We'll get, it's probably going to be April, probably going to be May. Maybe we're thinking about February. I already bought. I'm never buying. Those are going to be the types of responses. But if you send that text to 100 people in your database, and out of those 100 people, you get 8 of them to give you a time frame, I mean, holy smoke. That's unbelievable. If 92 of them said, we've already bought and we're not doing anything ever, but 8 of them said a month, wouldn't that be worth going into the Real Geek CRM, creating that text template, adding it to a workflow, and kicking it off? One of the things that I want to say, I was talking to somebody at Zillow, and it's somebody that works for Zillow, and just a little bit of a heads up that they're expecting, and this is not necessarily Zillow. I think this would be all websites, or just all of the internet, expecting around a 36% increase in traffic on real estate websites, starting at the beginning or in the middle of January and going for the first quarter of the year. So for those of you that, kind of finished the year and you felt like, man, traffic was down, according to the research, at least what they shared with me, is they're anticipating a 36% increase in internet traffic around real estate for real estate searches. So that's a good thing. So this, if you know that, then you really want to kick off this workflow right now to your database to make sure that those people that haven't been searching, when they start searching, they're actually doing their search on your website. That's another reason to do this right now.
Okay, so how do you generate leads quickly, right? To me, I mean, if you've been listening to us at all, we're all about segmenting your database. So the last 3, 4, 5 months, whoever you've been talking to, I'm sure you've had a bunch of people that tell you, look, reach out to me at the beginning of the year. I'm not doing anything through the holidays, whatever. So if you've been talking to sellers and they've been kind of kicking the can down the road, they didn't want to do anything until spring, this is the time to reach out to them. Okay, again, don't wait until the spring. If they told you spring, chances are they're going to be on the market and under contract and sold by the time you get to them if you wait till spring. So this is the time to reach out, even if it's as simple as, hey, last time we spoke, you said the spring. Just wanted to check in and see if that's still your timeline or if things have changed. Talk about how inventory is going to increase. How with more inventory, with more competition, they're going to be less likely to get a price. Okay, go back and look at your A leads, right? If you've been segmenting your database, if you've been using the urgencies in Real Geeks for fire, hot, and warm, right now you should be hammering the fire and the hot, going back to them and making sure that you're in front of them before they list with someone else.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I think that's a very important one. I think there's for those of you that have buyers that are saying things like this, I'm just going to wait for the interest rates to come down. Okay. Then when they say that, ask them this question. Okay, well, realistically, when do you think that'll be? I think they're going to be in the 5%, before the end of the year. Okay, that's possible. I don't have a crystal ball, but it's possible. Matter of fact, I personally believe it'll probably be under 6. So that's possible. So what do you think is going to happen when the interest rates come down? I don't know. What do you mean? Well, all these buyers are going to get excited about buying again. Inventory is still low. So when all these buyers come back into the market, what do you think that's going to do to price? Price is going to go up. Right. Okay. So I have a strategy for when it comes to interest rates. How about this? How about let's start looking, go find your perfect property right now. Go ahead and contract on it with a 2-1 buy down so you can get your interest rates into the 4s for the first year, into the 5s for the second year. And since both of us kind of believe that interest rates are likely to be in the 5s, as soon as they hit in the 5s, then you could refinance, lock in. So you should be getting ahead of the interest rates going down, because that's going to could push prices up. And the way we prevent you from overpaying is going ahead and buying now and doing a 2-1 buy down. See, these are the things that can help you generate leads. Like, how about do a video on that and send that out through your workflow? This is how we can generate leads in the next 72 hours. By the way, just to be clear, the leads that you can generate in the next 72 hours are from the people in your database that you don't currently think is a lead. Let me be clear. How you can generate leads in the next 72 hours is by doing this, is taking all the people that you think are not currently leads, kicking off a workflow with either a video or a text like I shared with you before, or you can be creative and come up with something better, kicking that off within the next 24 hours, and then you will be generating leads within the next 72 hours. That's it. That's it right there. I promise you, for those of you that do this, I can't even fathom how you're not going to get a lead from this. Multiple leads, by the way.
Yeah, no question about it. And look, if you really think interest rates are going to be going down, and if you agree that if they go down, things are going to get hotter again, meaning inventory is going to go down, prices could go up, then we've got a small window of opportunity as a buyer where you've got the perfect storm.
Yes.
Okay. Sellers right now are kind of anxious and their home's been on the market for a little while. They're going to be more likely to do a 2-1 buy down. Okay. You've got the inventory out there. So that this conversation is what you should be having with your buyers. Let's go ahead and lock in that home that you want right now. It's out there. That home that you want is sitting out there right now. Let's lock it in right now. And then we know that interest rates will go down. At that point, you can refinance. So this window of opportunity is not going to be around for long. 6 months from now, you're not going to be able to get 2-1 buy downs if interest rates go down some. It'll be gone.
They're going to pull that program as soon as the demand starts to go up. There's no reason for them to have that program.
Well, not just that, sellers are not going to be willing to do it. If all of a sudden inventory goes down, the market gets hotter, sellers are going to get greedy again like they did last year.
You're right. Yeah,
right? So that's going to be a function of what's happening in the market.
Yeah, good point there. Good. Okay, so let's talk about sell. You were talking about segmenting. I think I kind of interrupted you for a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, but basically, I love your idea of look, you got to hit your whole database, and your business next 72 hours is going to be people that you didn't know were going to be a business. But I also think that you've got A leads and B leads. And if you have not been doing that, you have to do that. You have to start separating your database into the good, the okay, and then the bad, right? So you've got to attack all the A leads and B leads right now and be very aggressive with them and make sure that you get in front of them, okay, if they're thinking of selling. You have to. The first agent that they meet, over 70% of people that list usually go with the first person they meet. Mm-hmm. So if you've been talking to potential sellers and you've tagged them as an A lead, then right now this is the month that you've got to get in front of them, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I'll say, back to if somebody says, you were mentioning, if somebody says I'm going to buy in May,
yeah.
The rule is when somebody says they're going to buy, it gives you a month, you always cut that in half. If they say I'm going to buy in 6 months, then you make sure that you're starting to work them again in 3 months. Never go, as Abe said, never wait to the 6 month, because that means they've probably already done something or they're already in relationship. So always cut everything in half. It's critical that you do that. I also want to mention before we do get off is some of you know, a lot of you don't know, but some of you know that, Abe and I have a coaching program called Real Geeks Mastery. And in Real Geeks Mastery, one of the things that we do is we kind of open up the hood, look under the hood and give everybody in that coaching program all of our information that we're doing. So I'm creating some new workflows right now just for myself, for Abe, and for the Real Geeks Mastery, I guess, coaching clients. So if you're interested in kind of a higher level, a more deeper dive than we can ever get on these on these calls within this group, then please reach out to us. We'd love to explain more. Abe, so it comes down to, I like your segmentation, but I want to leave people with this. Mm-hmm. Do not, in my opinion, we should all follow this rule. There can be no lead, no name in our database that's not touched by the end of this week. No person in our data, I'm not going to call it a lead because we don't know if it's a lead. It's just a name and contact information. Somebody opted into our Real Geeks website. There should be no lead that's opted in, no name that's opted into our website that should go untouched by the end of the week. So you got another 4 days, including today as a day, 4 days, go kick off workflows, touch them all. And then you're going to be, by the end of the week, you're going to have an idea of who you need to pay attention to for the next 30 to 60 days. Now, you may still have leads coming in from some source that are going to be new leads, but I can practically guarantee you, unless you've got a really big ads budget, you'll probably identify more leads in the next week through just working the Real Geeks tools than you can buy in the next week. And for those of you that thinks, well, the new leads would be better. No, the new leads are somebody else's dead leads. Somebody's buying leads across town in your market right now, and the people that they're actually capturing are already in your database. So instead of like buying the lead that you already have, how about let's work the lead that you already have? We got to stop the insanity. We're falling into the trap that these lead companies want us to fall into, and that is the belief that the next lead is the best lead. No. The best lead is the neglected lead that you have in your database. If we would buy into that concept this year in 2023, it can change the game for you. By the way, I'm not anti-buying leads. I do buy leads. But the worst thing we can do is buy leads and then have them in our system and then neglect them. If we want to get a return, we can generate them, whether you buy or organically create them, and then work them. And work them means, for right now, no lead untouched by Friday. Abe, I promise you, whoever takes that on, they may never tell us how much it worked, but whoever takes that on, it's going to work.
There's no question about it. As you were saying that, I'm already running through my mind 5, 6, 7 different things of why that's accurate. Why your existing database and those leads are going to be better than new leads. That could be a whole different coaching topic, and I just made a note of that.
Yeah, but make a note of that for next week.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Yeah, your database is gold. Okay, you just have to get in there and work it.
Yeah, but just like all gold, it has to be mined.
Yep.
Right. So, like think about the old days and your gold mining and your gold pan. You got a pan, right? So you take that gold pan and you stick it in that little creek in that mud, and you're doing this, and then all this stuff's falling out, all these nodes and all this junk and mud is falling through, is sifting through, and then all of a sudden you look and you got a few nuggets. You want to generate leads in the next 72 hours? Go gold panning in your own CRM. All right, man.
Love it.
I think that's a wrap. All right. Well, Deborah, I just saw that you said, I cannot hear you. I sure hope that you were able to hear us. Maybe that was just when we were logging on. I'm sure praying that was the case. But anyways, everybody, Happy New Year. We're excited to be back with you. We're more committed than ever to help you grow your business through this mastermind group. That's our commitment. With Real Geeks. Real Geeks has blessed us in so many ways. I've been a client of Real Geeks for so many years. I mean, literally, I'm one of the first websites that was ever built originally by these guys. And so I've really integrated. I think I have 10 to 12 Real Geeks websites because I'm in different markets. So you can see how committed I am to understanding and working the system. It's helped us make millions and millions of dollars for ourselves and our agents. And we just hope to pass some along that information along to you. If you want a deeper dive, get involved with Real Geeks Mastery. We'd love to talk to you in addition each week and help you with some high level tips. All right, Abe.
All right. Enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.